Get used to saying this. Detroit Lions, NFC North champs. Detroit Lions, playoff team. Detroit Lions, vision, best in the division. Roster, best in the division easily. Green Bay doesn't have their future quarterback. Now that Kirk Cousins is hurt, they don't either. My guess is Chicago doesn't either. The Lions do. Now, in typical Detroit Lions fashion, they dominated the game, almost 500 yards to 150 for the Raiders, dominated time of possession. Nothing's ever easy. In the fourth quarter, it was in doubt. But from general manager, quarterback, edge rusher, coordinators, O-line, weapons, they're really good. They're really good. There's nothing about the Lions I don't like except their history. It's why, come January, I'd probably trust the Niners, Philadelphia, or Seattle in the NFC playoffs. How did it happen? How did this happen? This laughable franchise, 3 years got good. Well, everybody in the same direction. They go and hire Brad Holmes. He'd been scouting Rams forever. Passed over multiple times, finally gets the job he deserves. He wants to prove he's the man for the job. He has been. Great drafting. How did it happen? 2, he makes a move for Jared Goff. He gets younger at quarterback and gets draft picks. Goff had a chip on his shoulder. Why? Felt he was disrespected. Took all the heat for McVay's failures at times, though rare, in Los Angeles. What then happened? The head coach was hired, Dan Campbell. Little odd, little unique, very quirky. Had one chance earlier to coach. Got kind of a label as, not a thinking man's coach. A little bit of a meathead guy. So he had a chip on his shoulder. New GM, quarterback, coach. All something to prove. They deserve their positions. And they've all crushed it. 1, 2, and 3, all pulling in the same direction. Brad Holmes, stud. For years, look at the guys he drafted while with the Rams. Jared Goff got to a Super Bowl. I've seen him outduel Mahomes. Jared's really good. And Dan Campbell got a plan. Tough guy. Physicality. Players love him. Bill Parcells for years has backed him. It's amazing what happens when you're all pulling together in any business. Take a look at their division. In Green Bay, the GM was looking for the future. The quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, was talking retirement, and Matt LaFleur wanted to run his offense, not going in the same direction. In Minnesota, Kirk Cousins wants an extension, and Love, let's be honest, the GM, the owner, and the coach want to get a new quarterback. And Chicago, are they ever pulling in the same direction? It is remarkable to watch. The GM who deserved a GM job earlier, the quarterback who felt overlooked, blamed for everything in Los Angeles, and the coach who got a label that he didn't think was fair, a real human, smarter than people gave him credit for. He laughs at it now, talks about biting kneecaps, and this team with its coordinator hires is one of the smartest teams in the league. Now it's Detroit. Nothing is easy. I won that game. It was my favorite bet of the weekend, and I'm sweating it in the fourth as they dominate the game, dominate the clock, dominate the yards. I mean, the Raiders were 1 for 9 on 3rd and 4th down. How is that game close in Detroit? Some of it is their history, Detroit. They've never been here before. But this is a real team. They're going to win the division for the foreseeable future. Most of their players are young and on the cheap. Goff's not cheap, but he's good. I'll pay for a top 10, 12 quarterback. There's not many people on the planet who are as good as Jared Goff. By the way, if you go look at their GM and their coach and this year's draft, linebacker, power back, tight end, the GM and the coach totally aligned on what they want this team to be. Resilient, tough, forceful. The GM, the coach, the quarterback, all in the same direction. Green Bay's well run, got splintered, right? Minnesota, Kirk Cousins, different feelings about the future in the building. Chicago's never aligned. Detroit finally is. Good for them. All right, let's talk Raiders. They were awful. Go ahead, blame Garoppolo. But we know this. In most of your dynasties and great teams, you have a great quarterback, a great head coach, and a really good GM. Do we know if the Raiders are good at any of those three? Mark Davis hired all of them, right? Mark Davis signed off the owner on all of them. This was once a proud division, a proud franchise. It was once a proud franchise, committed to excellence. I'm not sure what they're committed to. John Gruden got a 10-year contract. Who gives an NFL coach a 10-year contract? Mike Mayock, nice guy, TV to GM. That was odd. Bring two New England Patriot guys to run the show. Well, the two New England guys, it didn't work in the South. It hasn't worked here. It hasn't worked there. Why is it going to work out West? And then give Garoppolo 3 years. Like Jimmy G, 3 years. If I said to you, shaky ownership in the NFL, you'd name 6 or 7 franchises. Washington, they have new owners. We won't hold our breath. Chicago, Vegas, Arizona, Houston, Cleveland. Haven't y'all had a bad boss or a bad owner? You can do everything right. Employees often get the blame, but it's virtually impossible in my 20-something years in this business to overcome shaky bosses and bad owners. I'm lucky now. I was in Tampa. I had a bad owner. I had bad bosses. I had a bad newsroom. You can't overcome it. I've been very lucky my whole career. But all of you out there know bad boss, bad owners, bad company. Every time the Raiders have to make a hire or sign a big check, Mark Davis gets the call. Don't know him personally, but I didn't think the franchise was run in Al Davis's later years at an optimal position, and I don't now. The Raiders have not had, and this is hard to believe, back-to-back winning seasons in 20 years. That is hard to do. That's hard to do. They fired coaches, GMs, new players, hit on draft picks, missed on draft picks. 20 years, 18 non-winning seasons. How? It's a big brand. People like playing in Las Vegas. How come they can't turn it around? Yes, Jimmy Garoppolo was bad. Yes, you can blame the coach. Davante Adams, really upset, been outspoken, telling us the truth. But, I mean, it all starts at the top. If I say to you 6 or 7 shaky NFL franchises, name them. You'll notice how many are in last place or third place and will eventually end in last place. The guy signing the checks has the final say. I don't trust the guy with the Raiders signing the checks. For the record, I will contend they have 4 or 5 great players. I mean, they hung around that game last night. They've got some great players. Don't blame the employees. Max Crosby, it's like martial arts. You can't block him. Hands, feet aligned. Can't block him. Davante Adams, amazing. I mean, they got players. They've got guys. Don't blame them. It all starts at the top. Just list the 6 or 7 shaky ownership groups in the NFL. Why are those teams all bad? Employees are not the problem. You may not love Garoppolo. He got to a Super Bowl. It's not the employees. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.